Okay, it's that time of year again where I review all the movies I've seen within the past year. These are my top 53 movies of 2025. Now, why 53? If you've seen the previous year videos, I usually try to aim for 50, but some of them were little stinkers. I managed to catch some other movies. Now you might be wondering, hey, like, why didn't you see this movie? Why didn't you see this movie? I was really busy this year. I was juggling a lot of freelance and traveling for conventions all at the same time, but I try to make time for movies because I love going to the theater. I count every movie that I've seen in theaters or has been released on streaming specifically for this year. I'm Jay, also known as Jayperior. When I'm not vending at artist alleys or editing videos for YouTube, I write for TV, animation, and games. But yeah, I love movies. Okay, number 53, War of the Worlds. So, if you're not familiar, this is a remake of the classic War of the Worlds novel and film starring Ice Cube, who I love. But if you haven't seen the memes of this movie, the best way for me to describe it is it was an assault on my existence as a human being. Even though I watched it with a group of friends, I feel like we were all mentally and auditorily and visually violated. Aliens are invading, something's happening across the world, blah 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 blah, trying to figure out what's going on. But in this, pretty much Ice Cube just sitting in front of his computer, kind of in front of a screen like this, and just talking the whole time. And the entire film is like this. Every other character we meet, it's just another screen. It's just another conversation. And it's also just not made well. Like, a lot of money was thrown into it, and you can tell because it just keeps talking about how awesome it is to be an Amazon Prime subscriber. Yeah, no, I don't have much to say. This movie was bad. This movie was real bad. And it's not even like a haha fun bad. Maybe it could be fun with friends, but even then, it went so quickly to the bottom for me. If you want to have a bad time, I guess check this out. Number 52, The Gorge. This was an exclusive to Apple TV. I thought it was odd that it was coming out on Valentine's Day, and I was like, okay, this might be for the single sci-fi action cinephiles who just, have nothing to do on Valentine's Day. No, this is a really sad romance film, and I say sad as in not all boohoo crying. I'm like, oh no, this is really bad. Miles Teller plays this guy who's posted up in a sniper position in front of this giant gorge, like this canyon, and across is like another sniper played by Anya Taylor-Joy, and they're not supposed to communicate with each other, but they do, and they kind of flirt with each other with like signs and signals from afar, and they're like, oh, we need to watch out for, like, we're supposed to protect from what's down there. And it's really bad. It's really bad, especially Anya Taylor-Joy's character. She is like, I didn't think the Manic Pixie Dream Girl stereotype was allowed to exist anymore. Holy shit. She is not a person in this movie. She is just an object for the male perspective. It is insane. I don't understand. This movie was really bad. The sci-fi aspect is not even that interesting. This was my worst film of the year for the longest time until War of the Worlds came out. War of the Worlds, I would say, is more entertaining, but The Gorge is not cut in a way that I feel like I'm going insane. Number 51. Fixed. The only reason why Fixed is above The Gorge and War of the Worlds is because it is beautifully animated. And that is the unfortunate part. It is so beautifully made. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's directed by Genndy Tartakovsky. And you're like, oh my god, like Samurai Jack, like, oh god, he's a genius. I don't know. After seeing it, I was like, maybe he's not a genius. I don't know. I was so disgusted and mad. Like, you would think, like, I can withstand like a couple of like dick and balls jokes. No, it is like a full feature length of that. I hated it. I absolutely hated this movie. One friend was saying that he was like, hey, like, if this could get approved, like, maybe my shitty idea could get approved. And I'm like, no, this was approved because someone was in power to get what they thought was a really good idea approved. Like, this, they learned that this was a passion project or something. I was like, this is so bad. I don't get it. This is humor that is for like people with zero media literacy. I just don't. I don't know. Again, the only reason that has even half a star on my Letterboxd is It's really well animated, which is also its detriment. Number 50, a Minecraft movie. I saw an unfinished version of this, and when I say unfinished, not all the VFX are completed. I feel like it wouldn't have made it any better if the VFX were completed. There is a coherent plot, so I can't really fault it for that. It's just not for me. And I was like, do kids even like this? Would kids like this? You know, like just because it's Minecraft? But I was on a plane and in front of me, this little girl was watching Minecraft movie, and the second Jack Black says, "I'm Steve," she turned to her mom with full star and wonder in her eyes, jaw dropped, and just went, "Oh my God, Mom, it's Steve." Not for me. Not for me. Yeah, chicken jockey, haha, not for me. Number 49, Love Hurts. This was disappointing to rank so low. It was, I believe, the first movie I saw this year, and I was excited because it was like, oh my God, like it's starring Ke Huy Quan from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like it's gonna be, you know, actiony. It'll probably be a fun time. He's great. But the film, like the way it's put together, there's like a lot of unnecessary voiceover. It wasn't really adding anything to it. And I don't think the script was necessarily bad. There was like a lot of good ideas in it, potentially fun characters, but everything was just a little too cornball for me. I think the action was really neat. I gotta say, there's a fight scene early in the movie with Ke Huy Quan and Marshawn Lynch. That was really fun. I want to see him in more movies too. You know, I was kind of like, okay, but overall, the movie was kind of slog, which is unfortunate because I really love Ke Huy Quan. If you want to see Ke Huy Quan do more Jackie Chan-esque choreo, I think this is worth checking out, but other than that, it's really not great. Number 48, Captain America: Brave New World. I told friends, because I'm a big Marvel fan, yada yada, but like, good movie, bad movie, like any reaction is better than no reaction, and I sat in complete silence throughout the entire film. I felt nothing. The only time I might have felt an inkling of something is how hard the movie leans into, do you remember The Incredible Hulk 2008 with Edward Norton? Because it really has to do with that movie. It felt more like a sequel to that than a new Captain America movie. And it's unfortunate because all the cast interviews of Harrison Ford saying that, like, hey, no, this is Anthony Mackie's show. Like, you know, I'm just here along for the ride. But like, they really cut around Harrison Ford's character. The focus was so much about Harrison Ford, and all the marketing revealed the twists already. So it's like the movie kind of failed in trying to build something up. I was like, I mean, if you somehow go in blind, then maybe it might surprise you. But I was just like, this was... It felt like it tried to be Captain America Winter Soldier, but like extremely watered down. If the Falcon and Winter Soldier show was like a watered down version of the Winter Soldier movie, this was like completely diluted through 10 strainers and then sprinkled in some Hulk. This was not great, which is unfortunate because I love the character Sam Wilson, but not it. God, this was bad. Number 47, Drop. Drop, if you're not familiar, is about this woman who goes on a blind date. During this blind date, she gets messages, like airdrops, like a iPhone airdrop thing. I don't know. I don't have an iPhone, but like airdrops, mysterious messages about like commands and like things to do, or else things are gonna happen. And I won't say too much more, but I was like, okay, from the premise alone, I was excited to see it. I missed it in theaters, but I did eventually catch it on a plane, I think. It was fine overall. I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5. I wasn't the craziest about it. Like, it did kind of drag on a bit, but yeah, I couldn't say it was a bad time. It was just, it filled up my time in the air. Number 46, Wicked for Good. I don't think I need to say much about this. Anyone who's seen the original Wicked musical knows that the first half is way better than the second half, at least in my opinion. And it was very much the same for the movie. The better songs were in the first movie. I didn't really feel like part 2 needed to exist. They could have just cut it up into smaller scenes and put it into the first movie, or cut out a lot of the fat of the first movie. A lot of the motivations really don't check out. Obviously, this is based off the musical, but still, like, it was something. I don't know. I said this about the first Wicked movie, but John Chu, I really loved his In the Heights adaptation, and I was expecting something more spectacular like that. It really felt like everyone forgot how to color grade for the film, and I wasn't really amazed by anything. But of course, the performances by the leads are great. That's pretty much it. Number 45, One of Them Days. I mean, I thought it was a good time. The cast is funny, the story is pretty creative and fun. It's like a mystery comedy. Personally, I do wish the pacing felt quicker. It did feel like it dragged a little bit, but the runtime isn't long, strangely enough, so maybe that's just my personal impatience with it. Again, the two leads are just really, really good. Two women trying to find enough money to get their rent paid in time, which is relatable to everybody. Recommend checking it out. It was fun. Number 44, Paddington in Peru. If you guys know me, I love the Paddington movies. I think they're great. Paddington 2 is an absolute masterpiece. Unfortunately, Paddington 3, Paddington in Peru, had a different director because the previous director had to work on the Wonka, Timothée Chalamet Wonka movie, and at the same time, Sally Hawkins, who played the mother, also worked on Wonka, so she had been replaced in Paddington Peru. And it's unfortunate because there's this really emotional moment for the mom character, and I was just like, you're not doing a bad job, but you were not Sally Hawkins. Like, I'm sorry, I'm attached to that face for this character. Paddington Peru is fine. It's fun. It's very sweet. It's heartwarming. It just doesn't hold a candle compared to either Paddington movies, which is why it's placed so low for me. Number 43, The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. It was fun. I think it was just really nice to see an American 2D animated film that wasn't fixed in theaters. So it was really nice. I had a really good time seeing it. There's the joke with the farmer in the beginning absolutely killed me. Hope there's more like this in the future. I doubt it, given the climate of the industry. If you like Looney Tunes or appreciate old American cartoons, like, this is definitely worth checking out. Number 42, Hard Eyes. Hard Eyes was a pretty neat, like, dark rom-com slasher movie, basically about, I think, Valentine's Day, or once a year, a serial killer called the Hard Eyes goes around, and he's like a mask with like heart eyes and whatnot, and he kills people who are couples, and we follow two characters who are mistaken for a couple, and they're constantly telling, like, we're not a couple, stop chasing us, please, we're not a couple. And he is just killing everyone in the way to try and get to them. I had a pretty good time with it. I think it'd be a fun group watch. There's some twists in the end that, you know, I thought was creative. There is a lot of setup for these characters, but once the killing started, I was like, all right, here we go, this is what I'm in for. It was fun. It's not super memorable in my opinion. I liked it enough to rank above some of these other films for this year. Number 41, Colorful Stage, the movie, A Miku Who Can't Sing. If you're familiar with the Vocaloid Hatsune Miku, this is a movie about... Okay, so I know it's based off Project Sekai mobile games, I believe. I haven't played any of them. I will say off the bat, the biggest flaw of this movie is that they introduce you to 20 characters right off the bat, divided into factions of 4. So 5 different groups of characters, 5 different B-plots all happening at the same time. At first I was just like, oh, what a colorful world, and I was like, oh no, we're literally following all these characters. Oh no. And I'm like trying my best to remember everybody. Again, for someone who's never played the game, it seems like in this world, most groups, I guess, have a Hatsune Miku, their own version of Miku who exists in this virtual VR world. There's been sightings of a mysterious Miku who no one's recognized before. They're like, oh, she's like really gray and desaturated, like what's going on? And apparently this Miku doesn't know how to sing, and she has been trying to meet up and find other people to help her, teach her how to sing. I will say it is thematically a nice movie about burnout and depression. I thought it was very heartwarming. The overarching plot was, you know, it was simple, but it worked. But again, I like the world building, I like the music. Again, there were just way too many characters, but if you just ignore that and just focus on, like, this story is about Miku just trying to find help, and there's meeting a lot of people along the way, then, you know, it might work for you. There were some characters I'm like, I wish I got to know them more, but maybe this is just promotion for the mobile game. If you like anime and Miku, worth checking out. Number 40, Presence. The reason why this is up so high is because the concept is really neat. If you're not familiar, this is a horror film that's actually not very scary, but it is from the perspective of a spirit haunting this house. We're trying to figure out why this spirit is haunting this family, and what is it trying to say to this family. But honestly, it just felt like I was like POV, I'm invisible, and I'm listening in on the family drama. Because the family drama is interesting. That's why I was like, it's not very scary, it's more fascinating. I personally thought the twist was not great. I thought it was really hokey, came out of nowhere. It was pretty annoying. The twist involving this character, I was just kind of like, what? Like, oh my, what is this? Like, and then it does tie itself up. I was really excited for it, but ultimately it just kind of, I think it's a good character study, but it's not a great horror movie. I respect it for its craft and how it was made. Number 39, Good Fortune. It's a pretty cute film. It's an Aziz Ansari directorial debut for a feature film, I believe. If you're familiar with Aziz Ansari, he also did Masters of None. So if you're not a fan of Master of None's very Italian cinema editing, you might not be a fan of Good Fortune, because there's a lot of abrupt cuts, a lot of what is meant to be art provoking shots, but I feel like they didn't do much for me. There's a lot of setup in it that I'm just kind of like, I can get that from context. Like, can we move on? Performance by Keanu Reeves is incredible. If you're not familiar, this movie is about Keanu Reeves is an angel who wants to do more and help people, and he tries to help Aziz Ansari's character's life and just makes things worse for everybody. But it's really fun seeing Keanu Reeves try to live life as a human, and I'm just like, oh my god, I could watch an entire feature of Keanu Reeves trying to be a human. It is incredible. Some of the most relatable moments. Unfortunately, the overall message of the movie, it falls a little flat because, you know, it is very much about like appreciating what you have versus having riches. But I'm like, okay, but when that comes from people who have money, then I'm like, it's a little lost on me, in my opinion. Because of that, the resolution was a little cheesy and a little too clean for me, but maybe that's just the kind of movie it's supposed to be. Number 38, Good Boy. I think this movie was decent. I thought it was solid. I'm just really impressed with the filmmaking. And I think that's the number one reason to watch this movie. Good Boy, if you're not familiar, is a horror film from the perspective of a dog, which I was like, this is fascinating. And there's a weird haunting, something's happening to the owner, and the dog's so scared, but it's just the dog, like, what can it do? But it is very, very impressive. I'm like, you know, for me, understanding a little bit about behind the scenes and film crafting and whatnot, I'm like, man, like, obviously this dog is not an actor, but it's convincing me that he's a very good actor. And I'm like, this dog is a very good boy, very good actor. How are they getting these shots? And they actually show a featurette after the movie about how they set up some of the scenes. So it really recontextualizes a lot of the horror moments really well. And don't worry, if you're curious, the dog does not die in the movie. So, don't worry about that. Personally, for me, without going too much into it, I do wish the perspective was a little different. The dog sees a lot of apparitions and phantoms and ghosts and whatnot, and I kind of wish that wasn't the case. I actually was hoping that the dog couldn't see any of the haunting stuff. It just saw, like, the dog, he just saw his owner slowly going insane. I was actually kind of hoping for that kind of perspective, but I guess it makes sense, you know, sometimes, you know, whenever Mungie is like staring off into a corner, I'm like, please tell me we're not haunted. Please tell me we're not gonna die tonight. So that's a completely different criticism. That's just me wishing for something else. I'm trying to judge the movie for what it is, and for what it is, I thought it was very neat. Number 37, The Running Man. If you told me that this was an Edgar Wright film, I would not believe you. But I went in knowing that this was supposed to be an Edgar Wright film. I think this way it starts, it's really fun. The premise is really neat. Set in this dystopian future where if you star in this reality TV show where you're hunted for a month and you survive, you win big. You win a lot of money. You're being hunted every day. Average citizens get like small amounts of money for reporting where the contestant is and stuff. And we follow Glenn Powell in this movie, and I really feel like he was underutilized because I love Glenn Powell. There was a moment where he has to disguise himself, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. If you've seen The Hitman on Netflix, I'm like, dude, yeah, I want to see Glenn Powell do some weird fucking accents and stuff. But no, the movie just kind of moves on. It's kind of supposed to be the survival action romp, but it ran a bit too long, and I was really underwhelmed for this to be an Edgar Wright movie. So if you're into just plot, like just plot heavy movies, like this might be something to watch because you want to see the guy if he's gonna survive or not, you know. But other than that, I was just kind of like, it's okay, whatever. Like, I know it's based off of a novel, but I'm just like, it felt very Americanized, Hollywood homogenized for an Edgar Wright film. Number 36, Companion. I went in blind, but this was a very fun concept. I recommend going in blind too. It's not horror, I would say, more it's like thriller, but there is like violence in it, so keep that in mind. I do wish with its premise, like it escalated more, but overall, I thought it was a very fun movie, great performances all around. I would say this is definitely worth checking out. I don't want to spoil too much, so I'm just gonna move on from it. it. Number 35, Ballerina. So this is the John Wick spinoff, and it's still a good movie. The action is really cool. I love Ana de Armas. She's amazing. Unfortunately, I don't think it's better than any of the John Wick films, although the action choreo in this is pretty incredible. It was a fine time filler filled with crazy action sequences. Number 34, Jane Austen Wrecked My Life. It was a very slow burn rom-com that I really enjoyed. It is about a young woman who wants to be a writer, and she wins a sponsorship program thing to go stay at a summer house of Jane Austen's great grandson or whatever, grand family, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll pay for everything. You just spend the summer writing whatever you want and you get to share it at the end. And it's about her going there and trying to figure out how to write. She has a lot of self-confidence issues. She's trying to figure out what does she want to tell, what does she like about Jane Austen. At the same time, she's also balancing her own personal love life between someone back home and someone at the Institute. It was nice. It was very, very sweet. When I say rom-com, it's not very Americanized. It's pretty quiet. It's very slow burn, chill, and then some tension moments, and then we move on to the next scene. So if you're into that kind of vibe, I definitely recommend checking this out. Number 33, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. I'll say this, it is a very safe send-off for these characters, but I was a little disappointed. This is a part 2 of the finale. Part 1, Dead Reckoning, I reviewed it before in a previous vlog, but Dead Reckoning was incredible. I was like, more part 1s for films should be like this. Holy moly. Part 2, Final Reckoning, was just fine. It was whatever. It didn't feel unique. There was no, for me, not a huge jaw-dropping moment, jaw-dropping stunts, really. I don't even remember what it was for this film. That being said, if you like Mission Impossible, if you like seeing Tom Cruise just do all these crazy stunts, yeah, check it out. Number 32, The Long Walk. Finally saw this on a plane. It was fine. Its world building is a little messy. It's in this future dystopian America where kind of Battle Royale or Hunger Games style, every state, it gets randomly drawn from a lottery, one young man to participate in this competition to potentially win a lot of money and a wish granted to them. You follow this guy whose mom doesn't want him to be part of this competition, but he's like, no, I'll be back, I'm gonna get us money, yada yada. And he's just goes on this walk and makes friends with all the other young guys on this walk, and they have to walk nonstop or else they're shot to death. When it comes to these survival thrillers, I'm invested because of the stakes, but I feel bad. It's almost like a reciprocal for feeling bad for a character rather than actually feeling for the character, at least in my case. I think the 2 leads are incredible. Oh my god, the 2 leads, I'm they carried everything. Every other character, I was they're fine. They're there, Again, this is based off of a novel, so I understand. The ending, however, is a little too unrealistic for me. I won't really say why. Given that the lack of world building answers, it kind of plays into why that ending doesn't work for me. But if you're interested in some kind of big old survival romp where these young men need to just hope they don't stop walking or else Mark Hamill will kill them, then yeah, check it out. Number 31, Begonia. Begonia, this one's interesting because it's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, and if you're familiar with his work, for example, The Favorite, The Lobster, Poor Things, I love his movies. They're so weird, and I love how weird they are. I love this very simple message that they're saying, but they keep going in on how with more and more weird characters, weird situations, whatever, right? Begonia was not my favorite Lanthimos movie. I think the performances are incredible. It's Jesse Plemons, Emma Stone. Jesse Plemons and his character and his cousin kidnap Emma Stone and are convinced that she is an alien and she's just some CEO of a company. And they're like, we won't let you go until you take us to your leader, basically. And she's has to convince them that either she is an alien or she isn't. But it's oh my god, these conspiratists are just kidnap this woman. And it's this really interesting back and forth. From their performances, I was hooked in. But as I was watching, I was like, this feels like the most un-Lanthimos movie. It felt very ordinary. It just felt very simple. So I feel if you don't like his movies, maybe you'll like this movie. Maybe because this will be the most palatable for you. It's weird, but it's not weird like his other films. Will say I think the ending of it I enjoyed, but I was so deflated from the movie that I couldn't fully enjoy everything, I guess. It's kind of hard to explain without going in. The atmosphere is great. I just wish this film was a bit more quirky. I understand that it is a remake of a Korean film, which I have not seen, so I'm curious about checking that out and see how it differs. Again, really strong performances from the cast, so the three main stars are the reason to watch this for sure. Fantastic, Snore, and First Regrets. This was my most anticipated film of 2025 because I love the Fantastic Four. I was really looking forward to a modern, good representation of these characters, and it's unfortunate because I do think it's an accurate representation of them, but it was, to me, so boring. The whole film was very plot oriented. It was just plot beat. I thought the beginning of the film was really exciting, and I was like, okay, here we go. And as it kept going, I was like, are we not getting small moments? Are we just getting plot and only plot? And it kind of bummed me out. I was telling this to a friend that like the early Fantastic Four movies, the 2005 ones, they're not great movies, but there's a hokiness and campiness to them that told me more personality. It gave more flavor to the characters. This, I felt like they were just too by the books, and it was just very safe because it came out at a similar time. Some people are like, oh, Fantastic Four is better than Superman. And I'm like, you guys are insane. Which I'll talk about Superman later in this video. I don't know. I think the cast is great, but I just didn't really feel much for them. Johnny Storm's whole character arc was every YouTube video where the title is a white man speaks perfect Mandarin in Chinese restaurant. Like that was his entire arc. And I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. Like, how am I supposed to be emotionally into this? Silver Surfer was cool though. She was great. Number 29, The Ballad of Wallace Island. So Ballad of Wallace Island, I really enjoyed. One half of a former band duo that is invited to this island for a concert, and it turns out the concert is just one super fan. He also invited the other half of the duo, and the fan doesn't understand that the duo don't talk to each other anymore, so it's like really awkward. But I thought it was very, very lovely. If I had to surmise the themes, running into an aspect of yourself in the past and learning how do you confront that? Do you move on, or do you try to mend it again? It was a very, very lovely film. I really enjoyed it. I caught this on a flight. If it happens to be on your flight too, I really recommend checking it out. Number 28, Wolfman. Honestly, it's a really compelling drama. The opening of the film is incredible. I'm like, oh, this could be a good horror film. It kind of drops the horror aspect. I mean, not to say there isn't a horror theme to it, but there's so much emotional weight on the main character's like family drama, because that is the core of the film. And I'm like, this is really interesting. There's some unresolved plot points, unresolved lore stuff, whatever. But I was so focused on like, how is this family gonna recover? Will they recover? Will they get, will things work out? Like, are they finally gonna be able to actually talk to each other? It's from that alone, I was in. I was really in. Very surprising. Silver Surfer Julie Garner was also in this. Judging from the way she dresses up in the movie, I thought she was a young daughter, but she's the wife of one of the characters, and I was like, one of you is 50 years older. but everyone was wonderful. Again, the performances were all wonderful in the movie. Number 27, The Wedding Banquet. I enjoyed this movie a lot. It's an Asian queer comedy film. I won't go too much about the plot, but it does follow two different queer couples, 2 men, 2 women. One of the men and women from both of the couples had been friends since college, and they even talked about how they once used to date before they came out of the closet. My problem is the main conflict of the film, which happens after the setup. It happens like maybe like what felt like to me 20-ish minutes later or 30 minutes in. But like the main conflict of the film, I think is interesting. As a bisexual person, I felt like it was bi erasure. I can't go into it, but there's something that happens with the plot that I'm just kind of like, what does this mean about people who are confident in their queer identity, in their queer relationships? What does this mean about people who want to experiment? Like, I just felt really conflicted about it overall. I was just kind of like, this is interesting. There are parts of the movie that I'm like, this is funny, this is good, but I can't stop thinking about how much of an issue this is to me. Maybe it's just bothering me, I don't know. If you've seen this movie, I'm very curious what you thought about the main focus, and I think you know what I'm talking about. That being said, God, I am a sucker for when an Asian parent needs to warm up to their modern Asian American child. Oh my god. Yeah, some of the scenes in this movie really got me. Number 26, K-pop Demon Hunters. Now you're probably thinking, Jay, number 26? How is that possible? This movie is the highest grossing whatever. And yeah. Look, a friend of mine put this in a really good way, where he said that this is an original story, an original IP with female character leads in a gorgeously animated film. I don't think the story is important. And it's a miracle that this got made in the first place. And I'm like, I can agree with you on that. But for me, in my enjoyment, I am judging on, am I having fun? Am I enjoying the story? Do I think the songs of this movie are great? Yeah, I think they're great. I'm still humming them. Do I think the animation is great? Oh, it's fantastic. It looks great. Do I think the story is great? No. I don't know anything about these characters. Definitely, I'll talk about this with another movie, but I'm very much not a fan of when the characters just go, the whole reason I'm feeling like this is because of this, and that, and then the problem is solved. Because we talked about it. Like in that one sentence, it's stuff like that where characters are self-aware. It feels cheap and it doesn't feel genuine. But I understand it's a children's animated movie. We need to move on, yada yada. Definitely, the plot is kind of all over the place, which is a bummer because I was really interested in the stakes in the beginning, especially with the lead character Rumi. I was like, oh, this is what this is about. Interesting. And then it was like fine. I was like, whatever. I feel like a lot of gaps were missing. Yeah, it's still fun. Who doesn't love the Sacha Boys? Number 25, Black Bags. So this was like a really engaging mystery thriller about basically spies. Bunch of different spies who are friends, but they're clearly they're all eating dinner together and they're like, so is one of us trying to poke information from one another? It's really, I won't go too much into it, but the performances are great and it's really interesting. Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, and they're just suss everyone else out as well as each other, which is really, really interesting. What happens with someone, that you're married to is a potential spy that you can't trust. Really neat. It's a very succinct feeling film. The character setups and their emotions I feel are pretty validated and it hits. Number 24, Predator Killer of Killers. This was an animated anthology in the Predator franchise that follows 3 different stories in 3 different time periods about a person and their encounter with one of the Predator warriors. It's pretty interesting. The second story was the weakest. I think the second story, because it's ancient Japan, everyone's like, oh, that's the coolest one because ancient Japan. But this is the worst story. It was so boring, in my opinion. Also, they just all spoke English. I'm like, you couldn't just find people who spoke Japanese? This is a fun entry in the franchise. However, there's another entry in the franchise that I have a lot more to talk about. Number 23, Eru. I was wondering if I should count this or not, but I guess I will. It was very surprised. I saw this. It was a short film that appeared that I didn't know was going to appear before Little Amelie, which is another film I'll talk about later. Beautiful animation. It's a really short story, but it's from the same studio that made Wolfwalkers. And if you haven't seen that, oh my god, that movie's incredible. Very gorgeous animation and really amazing folklore storytelling and with fantastic visuals. And yeah, it's just very short and sweet. Really, really enjoyed it. Definitely check it out. I don't know where it could be available now, but if you can get your hands on it, definitely see it. Number 22, Zootopia 2. It's fun. I rolled my eyes at the idea of a Zootopia 2, especially the trailer, because it's like, there hasn't been reptiles in Zootopia since forever. And I'm like, oh no, racism again? I was just like, oh no. The movie talks about classism undertones versus racism undertones. Again, the Zootopia movies, their overall messages are a little messy. It's just fun seeing the animal designs. I mean, they're all great. Who doesn't love Paw Bert? The cast is really fun and it does a lot of fun callbacks to the first film. And this movie also had a lot of oversharing confessions, kind of like K-pop Demon Hunters, where the characters just in one line just say everything that was wrong with them and why they are better now. And I was just kind of like, okay, whatever, we need to move on. So number 21, 28 years later, 28 days, 28 months, now 28 years, finally. It is a melancholy zombie film. If you haven't seen them, they're really intense, but there's something about 28 years later that I was really happy to revisit that world again, and especially in a timeline, 28 years later, so much time has passed, and how has civilization survived? What are people doing, you know? And I didn't realize it was gonna be a setup for another movie, another set of movies, apparently. I know the next 28 years is like 28 years later, Bone Temple is supposed to come out like early next year. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. I didn't dislike the ending. The ending, I was like, what the heck is going on? And it just ends, and I was like, oh. So this whole movie felt like an anime prequel setup to me. Like a lot of like what did the main character go through before the story begins? That being said, it's still really neat. There's a lot of cool ideas in this movie. Yeah, from ranks like 20 and up, I recommend all of these movies. It was actually, I had to shuffle a lot for the top 10. Pick your poison going forward. Number 20, Mickey 17. It's not my favorite Bong Joon-ho movie, but I really love seeing Robert Pattinson play two different versions of himself. If you're not familiar, it's set in this like sci-fi future where Robert Pattinson is like repeatedly like cloned every time he dies on a mission or something. So, and he's like, oh yeah, he's our expendable guy. But there's a point where everyone thought he was dead, and he returns and he runs into one of his clones, like, oh my god. And the rule is, if there are two, of a clone around, they both need to be incinerated. And so they're both trying to survive. And one's super meek and like sad, the other one's like absolutely angry asshole. And if you're familiar with Bong Joon-ho movies, there's always some sort of political, underlying, pretty obvious political message for sure. And the political satire represented by Mark Ruffalo's performance, I was dying. That performance killed me. It was so funny. Very strong entry for this year. Number 19, Predator Badlands. This movie was so fun. I didn't expect it to be such a crazy, kind of classic Hollywood action romp. Really neat characters. The stakes are great. And I really loved like this young Predator warrior being stuck with cyborg android Elle Fanning, and they just have to survive together. I'm like, this is really cool. I like it. It's really well told, really well put together, and very fun. I hope to see these characters in the future movie. I want to see more of them, or more from this director too. If you're not familiar with Predator franchise, usually it's been always about, humans need to survive from this ultimate alien hunter who's like, who can cloak itself with technology and like super strong, and you can kill you, blah blah blah, right? But this movie follows a young Predator warrior's very first hunt and his like cockiness and trying to survive. It's really interesting. The perspective is very fresh and new, which I very much welcomed. Number 18, Chainsaw Man, the movie Reze arc. I'm a big fan of Chainsaw Man. I love the manga, and I'm glad the anime is just, people like the anime too. I was a little skeptical because this movie is canon. It is the next arc that's supposed to happen after the events of season 1. However, I didn't realize how well this arc worked as a movie. It just resets its status quo so well. So the most problem with anime movies is we follow a protagonist, they introduce a new character, there's a new bad guy, yada yada, and it's ultimately really inconsequential, and they move on with their lives. It does that, but because I know it's canon, I'm like, oh wait, this is kind of crazy. I really thought about it. Like, if people did not watch this movie and just started season 2, they probably would be fine. That being said, this movie fucking rips. I absolutely recommend it. There's a lot of build up. It's crazy that the big action, like the protagonist does not take action until like the last third of the movie, which is fascinating. It's a lot of build up of the stakes and what's going on, the emotional stakes. What does this character want to do? How does Denji want to proceed? Like, he clearly loves Makima, but this new girl Reze is like very much fancies him. Like, how do I choose between these two? I was like very impressed. And it's so funny. Oh my god. Obviously beautifully animated, but Chainsaw Man is just really funny. The line of Denji being like, chainsaw this, chainsaw that. Everyone wants Chainsaw Man's heart, but who wants Denji's heart? And I was like cracking up. Like, it's crazy, especially with like the battle music that they put. And I'm like, it's so funny. I love this protagonist so much because he's so stupid, and all of his epic speech moments are just so selfish, but it makes sense because he's a selfish kid. Even if you haven't seen Chainsaw Man, I still think it's worth a watch, and it might get you interested in the series as well. And it's a very short series. I mean, season 1's only 12 episodes. Number 17, Sinners. Yeah, I know, Sinners should be way higher. I know a lot of people are judging me for this. I love Sinners. It is an incredible, original story. The lore is wild, some vampire shit I've never seen before. There is a lot of buildup, and personally for me, this is where I'm a little conflicted. I think the buildup was good. Like everything that I'm like, man, I'm learning so much about these characters. I really like these characters. I hope nothing bad happens to them. Oh my god, all these stakes. I love it. However, I kind of want them to get to the romp faster. That being said, all the performances are really incredible, especially Michael B. Jordan for playing both twins. Yeah, the story is really well told. It's so original. It's so impactful and powerful, especially talking about the influence of music over time and culture. Everyone knows who's seen this movie knows that sequence, the music sequence, and I'm like, I have never seen anything quite like this, and it's incredible. Number 16, Hard Truths. This was in the top 5 for me for a while and stayed in the top 10 for a while, but then ultimately I had to bring it down to 16. Hard Truths, the lead, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, is incredible. Oh my god, her character is very tragic, but also so hilarious. The best way to describe this movie is this woman is just so miserable. She's so miserable, but she just takes it out on everybody, and she just can't help it. And honestly, I can kind of relate to that as someone who verbally lashes out, like when emotions get high. I'm just like, oh my god, like it was so wild seeing this woman, you know, just like complaining about everything. She talks about how, like, I was walking down the street and I saw this little kid with pockets in their pants. What do they need pockets for? For little knives? And I'm just like, what the fuck? It's just a little kid with pockets in their pants. Like, it's so funny. Like, there's not a lot of plot in this movie. It's just this woman going about her life. This is a slice of life, but it's not a heartwarming, sweet, cuddly, soft, fluffy slice of life. This is a slice of life about an absolutely miserable person. It is slice of life of the grandpa from Up before he met the kid, and he's just miserable the whole time. Like, it is just, I'm just kind of like, I want to see this woman yell at more people. It is so funny. There is an emotional arc in it, but you have to understand with these kinds of movies, and I feel like the emotional payoff is never just like everything's better now, everything's fixed. This is one of those movies where it's just kind of like, life moves on. You know, I won't forget this, but life moves on, and I'm still gonna yell at people. Marianne Jean-Baptiste, she alone is worth checking this movie out. Number 15, Rental Family. I was very excited for this movie. Rental Family stars Brendan Fraser, who is an actor in Tokyo. He had one really good toothpaste commercial, but he hasn't been able to land a gig in so long. And he finally lands a gig with this service called a rental family service, where people hire him to pretend to be like a family member or a family friend. You know, they rent him for the day or something. And we follow Brendan Fraser's, like, he's a little like, I don't know, this is kind of messed up. Like, I feel like I'm messing up with people's lives. But then he sees the good that he can do to help people. And we follow him and how he helps different clients. There's like 3 main clients, I believe that we follow. But yeah, I very much recommend it. You might think, oh, this is just about a white guy in Japan. And it is about a white guy in Japan. I'm actually really impressed with Brendan Fraser's Japanese in the film. I was like, whoa, what the heck? But it is very sweet. It's not misplaced by any means. I think the director also said that it does, because this is based off of like a real service in Japan. Like, people hire people to, like, hey, just come hang out with me. Oh, hey, like, I'll pay you to like pretend to be my, boyfriend or whatever. Like, oh, hey, can you come pretend to be my like dad or something? It's fascinating. 100% recommend. Number 14, Little Amelie. Beautifully animated French film about a young girl and her family growing up in Japan. I believe it's based off a book. Like a children's book. The journey experiences of this lead character from like being a baby all the way to the end of the film is like, it's fascinating. Her perception and ego as a child is incredible, where she is like, I realized that like I am God. Everyone needs to listen to me. And she like cries as a baby and it's like, see, like they all listen to my command, but it's like, it's her growing up and realizing how big the world is and how, people and time move on, and how do you learn to adjust to new surroundings. And again, very beautifully animated. I love this film. It was so sweet. It truly captures the essence of being born again after 3 years, which is like a very specific theme of the film, where it's kind of like, do you remember anything before you were 4 years old? Maybe some of you do, but it does capture like this beginning of life when a child is learning their own words, learning what they like, learning what, how the world works, and then finally becoming their own person. Fascinating and beautiful watch. Number 13, The Monkey. The Monkey was really fun. It's definitely more of a horror comedy because I was like, this is supposed to be scary, right? But when people start dying, they die in very over-the-top, ridiculous ways. I was like, okay, this is funny. This really cursed banging cymbals toy monkey. And every time someone winds it up and it bangs the cymbals, someone dies horribly. I won't go too much into it. It is really fun. I had a blast. I was cracking up the whole movie. People just, when they die, they don't just die. They fucking explode. They just cartoonish ways, and it's insane. I was just like, oh my god. I very much recommend. Number 12, Wake Up Dead Man. So I was just talking to a friend recently who, if you're not familiar, this is the third entry into the Knives Out franchise, following the character Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig. The reason why it's so high is Rian Johnson just knows how to make an entertaining movie. Like, he just knows how to make a really compelling and engaging movie. I do think out of the Knives Out entries, this is the weakest one, but I still had a blast. I think the performances are incredible. The lead, aside from Benoit Blanc, he was so good. Josh Brolin's insane. Like, everyone in the movie was just wonderful. And I just want to keep seeing Benoit Blanc solve random murders. I don't care if the formula is different every time. I want it to be different. I think because it's different, a lot of people are being like, oh, this is not as good. Yeah. But I'm like, it's still fun though. Like, I'm having a great time. I want more like this. If I had to rank the Knives Out films, it's Knives Out, Glass Onion, then Wake Up Dead Man. Still a good movie. Number 11, The Legend of Hay 2. If you're familiar with The Legend of Hay, it's a Chinese animated film based off of a webcomic. I think it's supposed to serve as a prequel to the webcomic, but it is incredibly animated, some really fun character designs, really cool world. Legend of Hay 2 follows that, the young, black cat boy spirit Hay and his journey, and meeting his master's former student and following this. And I was like, this is interesting. Like, I really like this dynamic of this young boy who is like the current student, and then this older woman who is the previous student. And it's like, oh, and they try to get along, they don't get along, and they're trying to figure out how to solve this mystery of like someone hunting down spirits and people with spiritual powers. Even if you haven't seen the first film, dude, just watching the animation of this is crazy. In terms of action, Sakuga, like crazy, like animated fight scenes, like nothing else has it like this. Like Legend of Hay is so good. And I rewatched the first movie recently too, and I really enjoyed it, but I found myself being like, man, I just really want to watch the second one now. Like, I think Legend of Hay 2 is way better than the first one, and I love the first one. It's so good. It's so much better than most anime out there right now. Number 10, Superman. I was pleasantly surprised with Superman. James Gunn, all of his stuff is just a really good time. Jokes are fun, the characters are great, the cast is really strong. Man, it made me really enjoy a Superman story again. I would say James Gunn's really good at balancing a large cast of characters and giving each one of them such a memorable moment. No one will ever forget Mr. Terrific now. Also, Noah and the Whale, 5 years time, I was like, oh my god, I used to listen to that band in college like so much. So to hear them like being used for this movie, I was like, I got like sent back in time. I was like, what's happening? Whoa! I think it really humanized the characters a lot, especially Superman. It's great. I think I can't wait to see more from the James Gunn's DC universe. It's just a really great, strong entry. Technically Creature Commandos was the first entry, but this, in terms of theatrical entries, this is the first one, and it was a really good time. I cared so much about these characters, unlike Fantastic Snore. Number 9, Eternity is about an elderly couple that passes away, and they're in the afterlife, and they return as their younger selves. You're in this grand station where you get to choose where you want to spend your afterlife. Elizabeth Olsen's character, she runs into her previous ex-husband, her first husband, who died in war. Her first husband was like, I've been waiting for you here in this like doorway to eternity for so long, and I've been waiting for you. And so she needs to decide who she's gonna spend eternity with, the person that she lost many years ago or her current husband. And it's like, oh, fascinating. Like from that premise alone, I was into it, and I found I had a lot of fun. I think when it comes to romantic comedy dramedies, I really like when there's a fantasy element to romance, mostly because for me, like if you guys don't know, I used to really love rom-coms. 500 Days of Summer was like one of my favorite movies. It was actually like my first tattoo, you know, with the park bench and everything. Now the movie, you know, doesn't really resonate with me as much anymore, but I feel like a lot of rom-coms, like it's hit or miss. It's really hard. They need to introduce something to me that isn't just too fluffy, or if it is just fluffy, it's got to validate that, and they just don't work for me sometimes. Eternity, I thought was very fun because it just like, it really did balance like, what do you like in the person you're with now? What did you like in the person you were with before? How do you choose between the two? I was just kind of like, I don't know where this is going to end up, but I was in it for the ride, and the ending, I enjoyed it. You know, it wasn't a perfect movie, but I had a really good time. I did give this like 4 out of 5 stars. I was like, I honestly expected this to be like a 2.5 or a 3-star movie, but I was like, oh no, I like this. This was fun. Number 8, Love Me. I saw this on a plane and I went in blind, and it is fascinating. Steven Yeun plays a satellite. Kristen Stewart plays a smart water buoy. The satellite is looking for signs of life. The buoy is lonely and decides to access archives to learn human speech and tricks the satellite into thinking that she is like a living person. And it's a love story about a satellite and a smart water buoy. It's absolutely fascinating. This was actually my top 5 for a very long time, and the performances are really great. I wrote down, it's a very interesting take on discovering self-identity and love. Great performances both vocally and visually from the leads. It's just, I was just so sucked in when seeing this movie because I didn't know what it was about, and now I'm just like, holy shit, like what? How did this fly under my radar? Why am I watching this on a plane? If you haven't heard of it, you've heard of it now. Love Me. I really recommend it. Number 7, Thunderbolts. This surprised me. Now, to most people, you might not be surprised if you haven't seen Thunderbolts. You'll be like thinking, oh, Jay likes Marvel. Of course, a Marvel movie's in the top. But the thing about Thunderbolts that really surprised me was, 1, Florence Pugh is an incredible lead. Oh my god, I want to see more Marvel movies starring her. Like, she's so good. Her character, Yelena, is so good. If you haven't seen her character from the Black Widow movies, Black Widow's not a bad movie. It's just misplaced. She's also great in the Hawkeye show, and then just seeing her again here, I was like, oh my god, she's great. I love seeing her. The cast is really fun. I was really surprised by the theme of the movie. In this day and age where like people associate superhero movies with punch, punch, kick, kick, I was surprised what this movie was tackling about loneliness, isolation, and depression. How do we confront the worst parts of ourselves? How do we move on from the memories of things that we've done? I was really surprised that the movie like delved into that, well, of course with its own superhero flavor, but like that even talked about that. Their ultimate solution wasn't a fight, it was being there for one another. I'm like, that's so amazing. It really surprised me when people were like, oh, it's Thunderbolts didn't have enough punching or whatever. I'm like, oh my god, like fine, go get excited for Avengers Doomsday and watch RDJ fight everybody, I guess, whatever. Thunderbolts, I want to see these characters more. Like, this movie made me very excited for the future of the MCU because I feel like a lot of Marvel movies and shows have been really mid to bad, and this was one like was miles above the more recent stuff. And I was like, this is, oh my god, I can't wait for Fantastic Four. So not sure what the future of Marvel is going to be like, but if it's anything like the Thunderbolts, I'm in. Number 6, Bring Her Back. Now, if you're familiar, the director of Bring Her Back also did Talk to Me, which is one of my favorite horror movies, which actually started my first fan art and then it was my first print for Artist Alley. So, Bring Her Back follows 2 siblings who are adopted into a new foster mom family played by Sally Hawkins, and it is eerie. It is crazy. I was like, God, Paddington's adoptive mom is just absolutely psycho. It is so crazy seeing her transformative role. It is wild. This movie is just intense. I'll say that. It is really, really, yeah, it's spooky, but more so just like, oh my god, like I am flinching because I'm like, Jesus Christ, what am I looking at? So eerie. but I loved it. And there's some imagery in there that's just insane. And like Talk to Me, it's pretty bleak, but it's so cool. There's just not a lot of horror like it. And there's a moment in the movie where Sally Hawkins, it's like a moment of comedy, and I laughed so hard, where Sally Hawkins needs to clean up the house after a mess and before someone arrives, and I just did not expect to see that in that kind of movie. And I was like, this is great. This is like this director just knows how to make a good horror movie. However, it would have been in the top 5. It unfortunately got pushed out. And yeah, let's get to why. Number 5, 100 meters, also known as hyakume, I think, in Japanese. 100 meters is based off of a manga. The best way to describe it is if you've seen Look Back, it gives that vibe of Look Back, but it's about running. These young boys who believe that anything in the world can be solved by how fast you can run in a 100-meter race. And we follow the lives of these boys, from young boys to grown men, and how they pursued their careers in running. The animation is insane, and also just the vibe is just so good. I love it. It's not a high-speed sports anime. It is a very slow burn. The character depth is incredible. The drive and passion of why these characters want to run is so good. And what it means to them, what it means to others, how it affects them. I have been thinking about this movie nonstop. I've been listening to the end credits theme so much. It's great. And I think it just hit Netflix like recently. So watch it. Oh my god, it had a very limited release in theaters, so I highly recommend watching it. It is so good. I kept thinking, like, could this be my number 1? But something else took its place. So there's a reason why I was like, I have to keep this in the top 5. It's fucking fantastic. Oh my god. Number 4, Friendship. For obvious reasons, you know, I love Tim Robinson. And Friendship, there is no movie in the world like Friendship. There's nothing else out there that does what Friendship does. It is a very twisted comedy about Tim Robinson, who becomes obsessed with his new neighbor played by Paul Rudd, because he just thinks Paul Rudd is such a cool guy and he wants to be his friend. And the movie keeps going. I'll just say that. It's very unhinged. If you watched any I Think You Should Leave episode or sketch, it is a feature length I Think You Should Leave episode. The vibe is absolutely insane, which is crazy because I don't think this was directed or written by Tim Robinson. So I'm very curious. I'm like, did they just want to cast Tim Robinson because that's the vibe they're going for? There's so many fucking funny lines in there, so many funny scenes. I will never look at Subway the same way again. But if you're not into cringe even if you're not into cringe or dry or like cringy, awkward humor, I recommend just seeing it. It's just such an experience. Like, you will not see anything else like it. Number 3, Weapons. Weapons was just too fun. I say fun even though it's a horror movie. It is a fucking ride. I will say at the middle of Weapons, I was kind of like, where is this going? Okay. But the third act, one of the best third act payoffs I've ever seen. To the point where someone in the theater was like, this movie was so bad. And I was like, you are a fool. And they were like, you actually like this? And I was like, yeah, it's amazing. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, this movie's so good. Weapons is about a school teacher who's, for some reason, almost all of her students except one disappear mysteriously in one night, and all these parents around town are like mad at her. People are calling her a witch, and and she's just trying to figure out what happened to the students. Everyone's grieving, and we follow multiple people's perspective in this story of what happened to the children. It does follow these grieving characters, and it has this pretty compelling mystery from multiple perspectives, and it just becomes such an insane party at the end. Oh my god, highly recommend Weapons. It's great. And if you're someone who can't handle comedy in a horror movie, get over yourselves. Comedy and horror are two sides of the same coin. Like, they have the same beats. I feel like a big complaint was people didn't like the comedy in Weapons, and I'm like, oh my god, no, it's perfect. It helps balances for us, the viewer, the tone. Yeah, Weapons is great. Number 2, this movie snuck up on me. Twinless. I was recommended this movie. I have not heard of it, and it had a very limited screening, so I missed it. But I happened to catch it on my flight back from my last convention. And it is I will say this, it is about a young man who just lost his twin in a car accident. He's grieving, and all these people are coming up to him being like, oh my god, you look just like him, you look just like him. And he goes to a support group for other twins who have lost their twin, and they feel empty. And he bonds with another twin in there, and they get along, and I will say it's like, oh, this is a very sweet, warm rom-com. And then it becomes a little twisted in a very entertaining way. I was absolutely floored by the performances, especially by the lead, Dylan O'Brien. But like, oh my god, this was a very heartfelt and emotional movie, and I very, very much recommend it. I was so floored by it. I was like, could this be my number one? It was like, I was like really considering it, but I feel like after getting over the recency bias, I was like, okay, but still, there's a reason why this is in my top 5. I absolutely love this movie. It was just really, really good. I loved it, and I think the ending is genius. Yeah, it's just wonderfully funny and really emotional, and I was absolutely engaged throughout the whole film and was just like so rooting and worried for the lead characters. And my number one film of the year, The Life of Chuck. I went into this movie blind, and let's see what I wrote a long time ago. I wrote, a wonderfully hopeful movie despite the odds of time, told in an interesting reverse chronological order, but every bit of it was beautiful. So, this is apparently based off a Stephen King short novel, and you think Stephen King, you think horror, but wasn't spooky. It's told in 3 parts. The first part follows a school teacher witnessing what seems like the end of the world. Powers going out, like communications lost throughout the world, and for some reason, everyone just sees, main character included, this sign of a man named Chuck, who's played by Tom Hiddleston, and no one seems to know who he is. And that's the first part. And in the second part, we finally see Chuck. We get to see a glimpse of Chuck's life. Yeah, I'll let you guys, watch it and see find out what the third part is. But I was so fascinated by it, amazed by what this movie was about, what it was trying to tell, and this journey of this character Chuck and why he was important. I was shook to my very core while watching this movie. It spoke a lot to me about, as someone who worries about my existence and the future all the time, this movie was just such a nice, shining warmth. And I thought it was absolutely wonderful. And every time I keep thinking, should it drop down from the first, for the first place, I keep thinking about it. I keep thinking about how the end of the movie just grabbed me. I very much recommend The Life of Chuck. It's just so delightful. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to spoil the movie. I just loved it. It was great. Okay, that was my top 53 movies of 2025. Let me know what you guys think. Have you guys seen any of these movies? Are there any movies that seemed interesting to you? Let me know down below. Hopefully I get to see more movies next year. Hopefully I get to catch up on movies I missed this year at some point next year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love doing these videos just because I love watching movies. And I try my best not to spoil things. I don't want to spoil things, but I hope I at least describe these movies enough to be interesting to you. And I'll also post the actual lists down below. So to the letterbox. So yeah. All right. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again next year. Bye.